Hello. Okay. So I'll just quickly recap whatever we saw yesterday. Uh, we just created this code class. We saw what is a wrapper classes and all, and we saw how main methods can be used anywhere, right? And we saw like how to pass an object itself as an argument to another class constructor by getting this and setting the value here by giving that class object as a variable for that class itself, right? So is anyone was able to practice these things with any other examples yesterday, or you can post it in chat? Okay. So the yes. Okay. So now what we are going to see is kind of a little bit extension of whatever we saw yesterday. Well, let's forget these three classes for now. We'll create fresh classes. Let's say we will take a concept for today, right? Let's say there is some class called payment which handles what type of payment is received from a user, like payment from internet banking or Google Pay or Phone Pay. That class handles those scenarios. And let's say there's another class called user itself, which has details for uh, username, first name, last name, and email, right? Let's see a small example of this. So in the same project itself, inside the source folder, can you see here, right? I'm just going to create a new package. We'll just try to segregate things. Just say other, say package. I'll just give the package name as payments. So when package is created for us, it's an empty package, right? Nothing is there. We'll close all these classes. We'll try to create a class called payments, right? With capital P, class by convention will starts with capitals, right? Let's just say payment. I'll just click finish. So this payment class will have two variables. Okay. What is the first variable? It is of type string, uh, payment method. So this payment method is a string which can be like internet banking or phone pay or Google Pay, whatever it is. And second thing is going to be a type of double. So double, anyone is aware what's a double actually? Hello. Okay, double is something which is used for decimal values, right? All right. So I will have a default constructor here. So will you have a default constructor? We'll just give the class name itself, open close brackets, and open close flower braces, right? So we are not going to do anything over here right now. We'll just put this constructor. We'll just pass a comment. It's always good practice to write comments in front of every methods, what that method is going to do, or particular piece of code, what that is going to do. Because in large project, it gets very difficult if you don't write code. If other developer comes and sees your code, he will not understand anything. So it is always better to write code. I mean, write some statements where you can say I commented here. This is a particular piece of code. It works for this particular functionality. It's always a good practice to write comments like this, right? So let's leave this class for now. We just save this class. We'll just create another class called user. Sorry. We'll click finish. And this particular user, let's say this user has 3 fields now: first name, last name, and an email. All is of type string. So again, I'm going to create a default constructor here. So if you hit Control Enter in our Eclipse, right, it always throws some suggestions. This is why we go for some IDE, right? So as you can see, whether to clone this object or what, to create an equals method and a hash code method, and whether to create a constructor for this class, it will itself ask. So we'll just create a constructor like this. And we will leave this for now. So what I want is like, I'll just create a main method here. So what is my goal I'm trying to achieve is here, like what are the payments done by different users? That is my goal which I wanted to achieve here. So I just wanted 2 class to handle, one for handling payment, one for handling user details. And I just want to implement a functionality wherein it says what user have made what payment. User cannot be a single user, right? Payments can be made from n number of users. We don't know the count, but for testing sake, let's assume some finite count so that it is easy for us to test these things. So what I wanted to show is like, we'll create some argumented constructor here. So argument constructor takes the arguments for the class to class variables to set, right? So we'll take the same arguments itself. Sorry. So now there's a key difference how we are going to assign this particular values to this class variables, right? Which we got from the constructor. So previous examples, whatever we saw, the this particular object name and this name are were different, right? Little different actually, for sake of making things easier. But whatever we did now is like, whatever the object name we pass here is same as the object name here. So to how will Java know? Like for example, if I say payment method is equal to payment method, right? This is how it works. How will Java know like what to assign what? Generally, how we assign the values, whatever we got from constructor, just put something like this and we'll assign to this payment method. So now both the names are equal. How will Java know like what variables we have used? Either we have used either this or either this. Java will not know, right? So it is throwing an warning for us. The assignment to variable method has no effect, right? Because why it has no effect? Because Java thinks are literally assigning the same value to itself, right? Payment method is equal payment with some string payment method. Let's say we are receiving Google Pay, so we are saying what Google Pay is equal Google Pay, right? It doesn't understand we have to pass this value to this particular object that we have created in this class level. So to differentiate in these scenarios, there is a keyword used called this. Generally we say this dot payment method is equal to payment method. Oh, it's highlighting, right? Okay, if you say this, then Java will know the payment method we pass here and this, or the declare the class level or equal, right? So what does this represent? This represents the class itself. So this is a keyword which represents the class itself. So when we say this, hey, Java will know, okay, this guy is saying this dot payment method, so we have to search at the class level for some object name called payment method, right? So everyone got this, or any confusion? Because
So,
when I, yes,
so what is the need of uh, writing this? So,
yeah, so without this,
yeah.
Java will not know which payment method to assign. It will think that we are assigning this value to itself, right? If you remove this, see what it is highlighting. It is thinking, okay, this value is also equal to this and this value is also equal to this, right? It is literally assigning the value to itself. So when you say this, then Java will know you should not search in the argument level. You should search in the class level for any object that is declared with the same name. So basically, this keyword represents the class itself, the entire class itself. You can consider this as this class. Okay. So what I mean by that is, so whenever in my program I use this keyword that represents the class or object itself, right? So when I declare this keyword here, Java will know. So okay, he is referring to the particular object created for the payment class itself. So now I have to search for this payment method uh, in the class level, right? This is equivalent to whatever this keyword is equivalent to doing something like this, right? New payment, that is creating that is how we create object, right? Dot payment method. So whenever we use this keyword, it represents the object itself, that's new payment. So we can understand this statement, right? New payment dot payment method, because that is how object is created, that is how you access any variable using the object. This keyword represents the same. When we say this dot payment method, both are same, right? So this will represent the object itself. Now whatever object calling this constructor, and that object itself represents that this keyword. That's the meaning actually. I know it will be still kind of confusing. uh, the point being here is like without this keyword the Java will not understand the difference between the variable declared here and variable declared here, because both are of same name. I hope this makes things simpler and clear, right? Hello. Anyone has any confusions regarding this keyword? Whenever you see some constructor in a project level or real-time projects, uh, most of the time the arguments got from the constructor and we whatever we declare will be the same. So it is easier to maintain. So that's the whole idea. So only we use this keyword to differentiate all the things. So any confusion regarding this, or can we proceed? Hello, you can post it in chat, yes or no. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Okay. Okay. Similarly, we can do for the amount also. This dot amount is equal to amount, right? Now I just wanted to use this user inside this payment method. How we are going to use? By declare whatever we did yesterday, right? Same thing. We can declare the user itself here. User. Right? But there's a key difference to this. The user may be a single user or may not be a single user. There can be multiple user who is doing a payment. Right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to declare this as an array. Right? So array is something how you declare like this using a square brackets, like whatever you see here. So whenever you say you put a square bracket near an object or near anything, Java consider that as an array. So now Java will know, okay, user is not a single user, it's an array of users, right? So like what's an array, right? I just want to quickly give. Array is a block of elements in a memory which is sequential in manner, right? I have something called array declared as A, and we have A1, A2, A3, A4, all arranged in a memory in a sequential manner with a sequential addresses, so that when we are in a particular, let's say when we are in a A2, and we just just have to look to the next address to get the value of A3, right? That's what array is. I hope everyone knows about array. It's very simple thing. So here we declare our user itself as an array. Now just pay attention to this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create an object for this payment method inside this main method which we declared in the user class. So before declaring this, I just wanted to create a argumented constructor for this user also. Argumented constructor with arguments first name, last name, and email. Let's do that. And same thing here also, you use this keyword to assign the values which we got from the argument. This start first name is equal to first name. Right. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to create an object for this user class first. Let's say how we are going to create an object. Simple, right? We saw a number of times. User is equal to new user. But we are going to call that argumented constructor now. Let's say the first name is, uh, let's say John. The last name is Doe. And the email is john.doe@email.com. So this is how you create an object, right? Now what we are going to do, we are going to create an object for the payment class. Let's say this. Again, payment class has two arguments, right? Payment method and amount. Let's say payment method is of type string GPay. Amount is 500, right? Okay. So we were declaring D here. D is a representation for double here, right? So we declared as a double amount there. So now what I'm going to do, I just wanted to use this particular, pass this particular user inside this argument itself, inside the payment argument itself. So now what I have to do, can anyone say? What changes I have to do here to accommodate that? Someone can unmute and say. I just wanted to pass this user object creator inside this argument itself. Can anyone unmute and say?
Can you please repeat the question again?
Okay, I created an user object here, right? I just wanted to pass this argument object as an argument here itself. Inside this new payment, I just wanted to pass this as an argument. So what changes do I need to do here to accommodate that?
I guess we need to add one parameter in the payment constructor. So like user. So then we can add that.
Okay. User, right? We can add like this.
Yes.
So I just wanted to assign this particular user to the variable we declared here. So we are going to do that.
It should be same way like the other, this dot user is equal to the value.
Let's try to do that. So now it's showing some error, right? What error is showing? Type mismatch, right? Whatever we pass this user is a single object. Whatever
Like
we
we
pass,
need array
yes.
type.
So what we have to do, we have to have some methods to assign a particular array value to a particular object, right? So for sake of simplicity, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to declare this user as a particular value, right? Particular value in the sense, I'm going to just declare this array of the size 2. This is how you declare array actually. Equal to new user, and whatever we size mentioned here, that number of sizes it will be there. Array will be defaultly declared. You know what's the disadvantage of an array, right? What's the biggest disadvantage is like, once we specify the size, it cannot be increased at the runtime by dynamically, right? So if you want some dynamic array, there is something called array list. in Java collections framework. We'll see that at a later point of time. So generally array is of some fixed size. So if you declare array of that size, you cannot go and alter at the runtime. So what we have to do is, I'm just saying here, in that particular array of size 2, array starts with 0, right? Every array index starts with 0. Take the 0th element there and assign this user to that particular thing. So everyone know getting the point, right? So now we can pass this user object here without any issue, right? So inside this payment method, I will just create one more small method to print everything actually. How will you create a method? We'll just declare an access modifier, just declare return type. I'm not going to return anything, I'm just going to print things. So I'm just saying it's a void. So I'm just going to create this method name print details. It doesn't take any argument. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sys out I'll just say the payment method is, I'll just append that payment method string itself, and we'll say and amount is, will append amount. So now how we can print the user detail here? Same logic, right? User details are, how we can,
Yes, we need to print the user array,
yes,
like at which position we want to see it.
the user 0 dot first name.
You have missed concatenation plus in the starting.
Yeah, yes, thank you. I'll just try to print this first name and last name itself. And how I'm going to call this method, print details. Print details is in the payment class. How can I call this?
Using extends keyword, like
No.
either we need to call the object directly if it is public type, else
Yes, like what made you say we should use extend keyword?
because it's in another class, so we need to.
Okay. Not necessarily we need to use extend keywords, right? Extend keyword is something which we use to extend the capabilities of the class. It's inheritance concept, right? So whatever base class we declare, if we create a new class and we say extends that base class, then we can access all those methods from the base class. But what is other way of doing that without doing that is kind of, we already created an object for this payment class, right? The print method is the payment class. We already created an object for that. We can just say payment, can call the method using the object itself, payment dot print details, right? So you got right. For calling a method, we can not necessarily or not necessarily have the particular extends keyword, right? It doesn't matter as long as you call the method using object itself, right? So you got my point, Anshul, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to run this program. Yes, whatever we expected, it came, right? Payment method is GPay, amount is 500, and user details are John and Doe. But I just wanted to quickly say here, what if I try to access the first value here, right? Instead of 0th index, if I try to access the first index, now what will happen?
It'll iterate till the first position, and accordingly it'll help us with the output.
Okay, what will be the output now? Can you say?
Mm, It'll throw an error actually, because we have initialized in payment this dot user 0.
Mhm.
So I guess it should throw an error.
What like we discussed something, right? Whenever you use an object, if you don't assign any value, what will be the output there?
Null, like empty, null
It's
pointer
a
type.
null actually, yes. So only we are getting null pointer exception. Why we are getting null pointer exception? Because the object will be null, and whenever you are trying to do what, you are trying to access something from the null, right? You're trying to the user at the index 1 is null, right? I'll just do it here. So we have instead of two for array values, we have two array values here. In the first array value, we have user details, right? Whatever we declare, we have user details. And in second array value, we have null, right? So what we are trying to do is like, there is null only here in this particular code. What we are trying to do, we are just trying to get the first name, right? So what that execution will do is like, we are trying to, whatever we are doing, the code is something equal to this null dot first name. Null itself, nothing has, it doesn't have any value, but we are trying to access the first name from null itself. So whenever you try to do some actions over the null, you will get something like this, null pointer exception. So this is one of the most frequent, most complex use cases that is there in almost every project, every testing and development project, and it should be handled properly, right? Because once you don't handle null properly, then it's going to be a very big problem at the execution level, because this kind of project is kind of simple. We can identify easily where the null pointer exception. In a large project, you cannot identify null pointer exception. Whenever you use some if statement, you're getting an object, you should always do two checks. You have to do a null check, you have to do a empty check. So these are the two important checks, right? Just give me a second. So yes, so that is the basic idea, right? Every time you have to do two checks. You have to do a null check, you have to do an empty check. That is those things are very important. So what if I use a simple if block here, right? Something like this. For sake of simplicity, I'm using the user of one itself, that array value itself. If it's not equal to null, then do some logic here. I'm just going to cut this line and paste it here. Try to run this program now. So now that statement itself didn't run, so it is not throwing any null pointer exception for us. So handling nulls like this is always very important in our program. So everyone got the idea, right? What is happening? can post it in chat. Or if you have no confusion, you can post that also. So are we good now? Can we proceed? Able to hear me, right, everyone? Okay. Okay. So now I have this user class. Just give me a second. Someone, are you seeing some yellow line here? Everyone, I hope someone drew something here. Someone drew some annotation here. Not sure, like,
Yes, we can.
not sure who did this. Okay, let's not bother for now. Okay. So what if I wanted to pass an array itself here, right? Instead of a single object, I just wanted to pass array itself. So I can assign the value directly here, right? It is also possible, right? So what I do, I just declare an array here itself, user array. I just, it is of type user. I'm just declaring the same value 2 here. I would declare one user here. I'm just going to copy and paste this. User 1 and user 2. I'm just giving two values here. Here I can say James sample. Just give James at gmail.com. Right. For user 2. So I'm just going to add these two users in this user array, right? How am I going to do this? User array. Okay. So what I can do is like I just can replace or change this argument type to an array itself by declaring something like this. Then I don't have to use this index over here, just directly can pass this entire array because this is all two things of same data type. Now what I can do is like I can, instead of passing the user itself, I can pass the user array itself. Right. So now we'll just try to run this program. So now we are getting James Sampleton. Why we are getting this? We are checking for null value for index 1, and if it will be obviously not null, so we are printing this value. So we can pass array also has a value here in argument, right? Everyone got the point? Okay, I hope everyone got the point. Okay. So one more thing which I wanted to show is like how can an object or class can be of return type itself, right? Just for the example sake, I have some method here. So every method has some general structure, right? How the method should be declared. Um, Method will have this access modifier, public, private, and it will have a return type, right? So what I'm going to do, instead of returning void, I'm going to return the user itself, something like this. That is also possible. So I'm just going to give this method name return user. Right? So let's return null for now to avoid this error. So what I wanted to say is like, how is this possible? What we are trying to achieve here? Can anyone say?
If the user are empty, then we'll call this method and return null.
No, we are not going to return null itself. We are going to return something just for sake of, because if we put a comment on this statement, it will throw some error. Just to remove that error temporarily, we are returning null. Let's say this return null is not there, right? We have to return something here so that this error is gone and this method is valid, right? What should we return so that this method is valid actually? Okay, let's put the question that way.
Like we should give the user details, like what all
Okay,
property the user holds.
user details is already given and passed in the constructor itself, right? For example, we are declaring user details user1 user2 here. We are putting that in an array and we are passing to the constructor itself, right? And in the constructor only we are getting this user detail and assigning this user details to the declared array here. But we are not going to get any user details here, but we are going to return the user itself, right? What I mean by returning the user is, what if I say just return user of 0? Now the error is gone, right? So this user is kind of an array. We cannot return an array because the return type is a single object. What if I return a single user here? We can do that also. For example, when there's a void of return type, we are able to understand, right? Okay, we don't have to return anything, right? If we delete this also, nothing happens. If we have a string of return type, if we return some string, then it is valid, right? Returning means what? If we call this method, for example, payment dot, if we call this method, whatever we return, that value will come as an output from this method. For example, if we try to print this, let's see what is the output. So it's printing ABC. How it's able to print ABC? Because we are returning ABC from here, right? Because return type is string, we are returning some string. So whatever output of this method is the return value itself, right? So it is returning ABC, so we are able to print the ABC itself. Now we are able to understand this. What if the return type is an integer? Then we are returning some value, random value, right? And if we try to run this program again, then what is it? It's returning 34, right? So what is if we put a return type and user, and when I say return user of 0, what will return actually? Now you're able to relate, right? Can anyone answer this? What it will return actually?
user array 1. The values
Uh,
initialized to user array 1.
yes, it will return the user itself, right? User object itself. So whatever we are returning is the object itself. So when we try to print this now, return the user, so it will print the address where the object is located, right? Something like this, right? So what if I wanted to return a particular username? Or okay, we return the user. What if I wanted to print the username? I just can use the particular function here, payment.return user. It is getting the user. I'm just saying first name. So if we do like this, if we print like this, then it will return the first name of whatever user is there. What is the first name of first user? John, right? So it will return John, right? It's returning John and we're printing here. So you didn't got the point, right? What is the use of returning the object itself? You can get the object wherever you want and you can use here, right? From a method. That's how you return an object itself. And you should put the return type of whatever the object type is. What if I wanted to return an entire user as an array? I can just put simply return type as an user array, right? So I don't want to go with the index. I just can use return user itself, right? Where this user is coming from, this user is coming from this. So if I want to print the first name again, I just have to return user of the index 0 dot first name, right? To print this same output. So everyone got the point, or is there some still confusion is there here?
I have a little doubt on calling these object from different class. Like we have initialized user array 0 is 0, user 1, and user array 1 is equals to user 2.
Okay,
So
right.
when we are calling payment method and giving a user array, we are not sure which index we are passing the value of object to the payment class. So and when we are fetching the object value of user,
No, we are saying which value to be assigned here. We are saying the zeroth index we should have user 1, first index should have user 2. Same is only passing to the payment class, right? In this constructor. If the constructor argument user is got as an array, in this array, the first user of the index 0 will be whatever we said here, John Doe, and second user will be James Sampleton. No, you can, if it's still confusing, you can ask what is your exact doubt.
yeah. So yeah, that was my point only. It's somewhat clear. So when we are calling user one dot first name, so here you mean is like the user array user is all the 0 and 1th element of the user has been initialized to user array.
Yes.
So when we are calling user one dot first name, it is fetching the first array of the first name from that particular object.
That array is first index, first name. First index is this values, and that first name is John.
So when we are calling the returning object, the method on the payment class, there we have written user one. Where we are calling user 0 first name. So the first array element of the first name would be called, that is John, right?
Yes. So it's kind of clear, right?
Yes, Karthik.
Okay. So one more thing which I wanted to show is there is some concept called a call by value and call by reference, right? In any programming language, it is there. What is the call by value and call by reference? Can anyone say? Can anyone? If you had any idea. It's easy, right? What's the call by value and call by reference? What's a function call? Call actually, it's a function call, right? Whenever we say call, we are referring to a function call. Let's put one more function here, simple function. Public, let's say, or let's forget this class and we can put something in this class itself. Public void test calls. So what I wanted to show is like, let's say I have one more. Let's say, okay, we'll delete all these things for time being, or just we'll comment it out actually better. Right, we just comment it out, so these things are not going to be executed. So what I'm going to do is like, I'm just going to create an integer a is equal to 5, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pass this particular integer into this method, right, as an argument. So before passing that, I just wanted to create an argument here, int a again, right? So how we are going to call this method? Either we can call this method using an object, or you can call this method directly if we declare this static. Okay, we'll come to static in future classes, but understand that this method is called, right? How we are going to call this method? By just directly calling this, we are passing this argument a, right? So understand that this method will be called when this line is executed. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to alter this value a here. I have declared it as 5. I'm just going to say a is equal to 3 here, and I'm not going to do anything. And just I just call this method. I'm just going to print this a again. Let's append some value for clarity. The value of e is, we'll append this, right? So now I wanted from you to understand like what will be the output of this program when we execute this. We declared a, we are calling some method through this, and we are just changing the value of a inside this method, and when we are going, we are just going to print the a again, right? What will be the output actually? We'll just try to print this a before this method call also. A before method call. So can anyone say like what will be the output before and after?
5 and 3.
Okay. Let's try to do this. It's 5 and 5, right? It's not 5 and 3. So just think why it is 5 and 5. Why this value of a is not changing actually?
Because of the parameter passed. So if you pass the parameter inside the function or outside the function, depending upon that, it happens.
Okay, the thing is that it's not because of that. The thing is that because we are calling by value in Java, every primitive data type or predefined data type in Java is called by value. What I mean by call by value is we are just giving this particular a as a argument to this particular method, but we are just assigning this value a as a value only, not as a reference, right? this particular a here inside this method doesn't refer to this a. Both are different, completely different objects in memory, right? So only we call this as call by value. We're just calling by value here, calling this method by value. Whatever we are going to change this particular a doesn't have any impact over the called method in called thing, right? Because we are just passing the value here, not the reference itself. What I mean by reference is like this a is not a reference here. Instead, it is just a value we are passing to this method argument. So whenever we change a value, it is going to affect here only, inside this particular method only. For example, if you try to print the a here, then it will come as 3, right? Uh, so the value of a inside test call is, will append a. Now if you see the output now, see, before calling the function the value is 5, inside the method the value is 3, again outside wherever we called value is again 5, because whatever change we do here, it's inside this method only. It's not going to impact whatever we declared outside or we called outside, right? So only we call this as call by value, not by reference. We are not referencing this particular a to this a. So these things are totally different.
But Karthik, static method won't affect at the class level.
No, you forget about static. Maybe we'll remove the static. We'll just try to call this method by creating an object itself. We'll come to static at a later point of time. I will call a method user is equal to new user, right? Just call this method user dot, again the same output. Forget static for now, we'll come to static at a later class. So what the point being here is like the value which you pass here and value you got and whatever you do manipulation here as doesn't have any effect over the initial value initialized in the caller method. That's the whole point. For the sake of simplicity, I just wrote static here. Just forget static for now.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So there's one more thing called call by reference actually. Call by reference works only with objects in Java, not like data types like integer, float, string, and all. So what I mean by call by reference is like, for example, I have initialized. Let's say, let's put this over here, payment thing. Right. I'm just saying new user of first name. Let's say my name itself, Karthik. Sorry, new payment. Sorry, it's a payment class, right? Sorry, payment method and amount. Payment method is GPay and amount is let's say 400D. Oh, it's user. Sorry for the confusion. It's a user. Okay. We'll just delete these things for now. Okay. So what we are doing is like we have a payment method, payment class with the user as one of its variable. We are just having a constructor with user as one of our argument. What I'm doing is here is like I'm just calling this payment constructor, right, with GPay 500 and new user details, right? New user is an object, right? We can create an object like this also, right? GPay. Sorry, it's first name, right? First name is Karthik. So you got the whole point of what we're trying to do here. We're just calling this payment constructor with a payment method, amount, and user details. User details again an object. So we are calling or creating an object using new user, something like this, right? So you got the point, or do I want to repeat? Everyone? Can I get a yes or no in chat? Okay. So instead of integer passing as an argument, we are going to pass a user itself as an argument here, right? Or we can pass payment as an argument actually. Payment as an argument. So what I'm trying to do here is like, I'm just getting the payment as an argument here. I'm just trying to manipulate the payment argument actually. So payment class has what? It has a payment method, it has an amount, it has a user, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say payment dot amount is equal to what you are given here 500, right? Instead of 500, I'm just going to say 400, right? So we'll pass this payment object as a argument to this test method. We'll try to print this payment before and after this method call. Payment value is payment dot amount, and here also payment dot amount. So let's comment this out. We don't need a for now. So can anyone say like what will be the output now? Let's say payment value after method. You got the point, thing, right? What we are trying to do here. Everyone, are you with me? Everyone, actually.
Yes, Karthik, but I'm not sure what is the value of amount here. Have we initialized somewhere?
Yes, we
While
hint
calling
here,
payment.
right? 500.
Okay.
That
So,
initialization happened at the constructor level itself. So not we are how we are printing that amount before calling this method. We call this method. We are changing the amount here, and again we are printing this same thing amount. So now what will be the output?
so now it would be 500 and 400.
No.
It is calling by.
Okay, we'll just try to run this itself and see. It is 500 and 400 actually. So the value has actually changed, right? So point being, whenever you pass int, the value didn't change, but whenever we passed an object, the value changes. So when data types like int, float, double, string is always called by value. Whatever user defined object like user payments, it's always called by reference. What I mean by called by reference, we are not actually passing the payment itself, we are passing the payment reference itself to here, right? So whatever we do changes in the payment object here, it will reflect in the caller method itself. That's called call by reference. We are referencing the same object in the argument itself, in the caller method itself. That's called call by reference. So whatever we changes do will actually affect this caller method also, right? So whatever primitive data types and user, I mean, inbuilt data types in Java is always called by value. Whatever user defined object is always called by reference in Java. So that is the point being here.
Can you repeat this last line, Karthik?
Okay, whatever user, I mean, inbuilt data types like int, float, double, string, everything is called by value. So whatever the value which you change here will not affect the caller method. But
Okay.
whatever user defined object, the user is a user defined object, payment is a user defined object. So these are user defined classes and objects. If you do some changes in the called method, it will affect the caller method because user defined objects are called by reference.
Okay.
So that is the whole point here. So just wanted to wrap this session with this.